So continuing with multiplying and dividing numbers without a calculator, we're going to be looking at multiplying decimals. So we're going to be multiplying decimal numbers without a calculator, and it is advisable that if you haven't done so, watch my previous video on multiplication, where I looked at 3 approaches to multiplication. The link is in the description below. Now, the beauty of this work is, if you know how to do multiplication without a calculator, then it's only just another step to get the final answer, and it's kind of a trick of the trade approach to getting the answer. So we're going to look at 4 examples. 2.7 multiplied by 1.4. So here's what I'm going to do. Let's just ignore the decimal points in both numbers and do the calculation 27 multiplied by 14. Now I'm going to use the traditional approach to solve this particular problem. Remember that with the traditional approach, I do 2 multiplications and then I add those answers together. So I'm going to do 27 multiplied by 10 and 27 multiplied by 4. Let's do 27 multiplied by 10 first of all. Now normally with the traditional approach, with this calculation we put the naught down and then we do a 7 multiplied by 1, which is 7, and then we do 2 multiplied by 1, which is equal to 2, and we get the answer 270. But if we look at this calculation here, it says 27 multiplied by 10. It is important to remember when doing these types of questions, don't just get into the process, bring in other mathematics that you know. Now 27 multiplied by 10 is 270, so I can just write that down as it is. Multiplying a whole number by 10, you then just add the naught in this particular case. So we didn't actually have to go through all that working out. The next calculation is 27 multiplied by 4. And this is where we will go through the process where we'll start off with doing 7 multiplied by 4, which we know is equal to 28. We write the 8 down and carry the 2 into the next column. We then do 2 multiplied by 4, which is equal to 8. We add the 2 down here and we end up with 108. So we now add 270 and 108 and we end up with 378. So we now have the answer to 27 multiplied by 14. But we want the answer to 2.7 multiplied by 1.4. And this is where the trick comes in here. So I'm going to count the number of digits after the decimal points in our original question. So we have 1 here and we have 1 here. So that's 2 digits after the decimal points. Going back to our number 378 and working from right to left, I'm going to count 2 digits. 1, 2. And we're going to put a decimal point here between the 3 and the 7. So 2.7 multiplied by 1.4 is equal to 3.78. And that's it. Let's do another example. 3.15 multiplied by 2.4. So the first thing I'm going to do is forget about the decimal points and do a multiplication of 315 multiplied by 24. Now I'm going to use the grid method in this approach. Now if you want to practice, you can pause the video and do this calculation yourself. I've got a 3-digit number and a 2-digit number, so I'm going to make a 3 by 2 grid. So along the top of the grid I'm going to do 300, 10 and 5, and down the side I'm going to do 20 and 4. Working along the top row, 300 multiplied by 20, well that's 3 multiplied by 2, which is equal to 6, add 3 noughts, so that's 6,000. 10 multiplied by 20, which is equal to 200. 5 multiplied by 20 is equal to 100. And going along the bottom row, we've got 300 multiplied by 4, which is equal to 1200. We've got 10 multiplied by 4, which is equal to 40, and we've got 5 multiplied by 4, which is equal to 20. And if we add those all up, we end up with 7,560. 315 multiplied by 24 is equal to 7,560. Going back to the original question, I'm going to count the number of digits after the decimal point of both numbers. So we've got 2 here and we've got 1 here. So that's 3 digits after the decimal points. Going back to our answer of 7,560, working from right to left, I count 3 digits, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to put a decimal point between the 7 and the 5. And so 3.15 multiplied by 2.4 is equal to 7.56. You could put the naught down, but you don't have to. So here are 2 questions for you to try. Pause the video and have a go. Use whichever method of multiplication you feel comfortable with. And when you're ready, press play, where I'm going to go through the answers. 42.7 multiplied by 0.16. So we get rid of the decimal point, and I'm going to do 427 multiplied by 16. I'm going to use the Gelosia method this time. So I do my grid. It's a 3-digit number multiplied by a 2-digit number. So I've got a 3 by 2 grid. I write 427 along the top. I write 16 down the side. And then I'm going to fill out the grid, starting with the top row. 4 multiplied by 1 is equal to 4. 2 multiplied by 1 is equal to 2. 7 multiplied by 1 is equal to 7. Going along the bottom row, 4 multiplied by 6 is equal to 24. 2 multiplied by 6 is equal to 12. And 7 multiplied by 6 is equal to 42. I'm going to add up the diagonals. Now, I came across another way in which people do the Gelosia method in the sense of the layout of the final answer. And what they did was they continued the diagonal line with a dotted line so that they could write the answer on one line, which is actually a lot nicer than what I was doing, which was basically just writing the numbers around the edges of the box. So I'm going to do it this way with the dotted lines. Starting with the first diagonal in the bottom right hand corner, we just have 2. Adding up the next diagonal, we have 2 add 4 add 7, which is equal to 13. We write the 3 down and carry the 1 into the next diagonal. We have 4 add 1 add 2 add 0. Add the 1 down here, which is equal to 8. And in the next diagonal, we have 2 add 4, which is equal to 6. And then there's a naught in the final diagonal. So we've got 6,832. And that's the answer to 427 multiplied by 16. Let's go back to the original question. And we're going to count the number of digits after the decimal points of both numbers. So we have 1 here and we have 2 here. So from right to left, we're going to count 3 digits. 1, 2, 3. We're going to put a decimal point between the 6 and the 8. So the answer to 42.7 multiplied by 0.16 is 6.832. And finally, 4.09 multiplied by 5.3. So I'm going to get rid of the decimal point in both numbers. So we have 409 multiplied by 53. Again, I'm going to use the traditional method. I'll set it out. And I'm going to do 2 calculations. I'm going to do 409 multiplied by 50 and 409 multiplied by 3. So 409 multiplied by 50, I'm going to put a naught down because we're multiplying a whole number by a multiple of 10. I'm now going to do 9 multiplied by 5, which is equal to 45. Write the 5 down and carry the 4. 0 multiplied by 5 is equal to nothing. Add the 4 is equal to 4. Then 4 multiplied by 5 is equal to 20. So 409 multiplied by 50 is 20,450. Now we do 409 multiplied by 3. So 9 multiplied by 3 is equal to 27. Write the 7 down and carry the 2. 0 multiplied by 3 is equal to 0. Add the 2 is equal to 2. And then 4 multiplied by 3 is equal to 12. So 409 multiplied by 3 is equal to 1227. We add up the two numbers and we end up with 21,677. So 409 multiplied by 53 is 21,677. Going back to the original question, we add up the digits after the decimal point. We've got 2 here and we've got 1 here. So we are going to count from right to left 3 digits in our number 21,677. 1, 2, 3. So we're going to put a decimal point between the 1 and the 6. And so 4.09 multiplied by 5.3 is equal to 21.677. So basically with multiplying decimals, we do the calculation without the decimal points, and then working out where the decimal point will go in the final answer by counting the number of digits after the decimal points of both numbers. So that's all I'm going to be covering in this video on multiplying decimals. In the next video, I'm going to be looking at dividing decimals. So I hope you found the video helpful. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. And thank you for watching.